Hardship is not a punishment. It is not a sign that Allah is angry with you or that your prayers are being ignored. In fact, many times it is the exact opposite. Hardship is a sign that Allah loves you enough to prepare you, to purify you, and to strengthen you. When life becomes heavy and you feel like you are being pushed to your limits, remember, Allah never burdens a soul beyond what it can bear. He knows what you can handle even when you think you cannot. What you see as pain, Allah sees as progress. What you call a breakdown, Allah calls a breakthrough in disguise. Every person who has ever achieved anything in life, whether spiritual, emotional, or worldly, has walked through storms. The Prophet Muhammad faced trials that would have crushed most of us. He lost his loved ones, faced rejection, and endured years of hardship. Yet he never gave up. Why? Because he knew that his trials were not punishments. They were divine lessons designed to elevate him. Every tear, every disappointment, every struggle was a means to draw closer to Allah. So when you go through pain, don't rush to ask, why me? Instead say, what is Allah teaching me through this? Sometimes hardship comes to remove what is harming us. Sometimes it comes to humble us. And sometimes it comes to remind us that this world was never meant to be easy. Allah did not promise us a life without trials. He promised us strength, guidance, and reward if we endure them with patience. The difference between someone who breaks under pressure and someone who grows from it is faith. When your heart believes that every test carries wisdom, you stop fighting against life and start flowing with Allah's plan. Think about the seed buried beneath the soil. It cannot become a tree until it breaks apart in darkness. Only when it's crushed by the weight of the earth does it finally sprout toward the light. That is what hardship does to you. It breaks you open so that your true strength can grow. The pain you're feeling now is shaping you into the person you're meant to become. So instead of saying, I can't handle this, remind yourself, Allah chose me for this. Because if He chose you for the test, He already gave you what it takes to pass it. Every tear you shed, every moment of fear, every night you couldn't sleep, none of it is wasted. Allah is counting every second of your struggle, and He promises that one day you'll look back and understand why it all had to happen. You'll see how that pain brought you closer to Him, how it built patience, humility, and wisdom within you. You'll realize that without that hardship, you wouldn't have found your true self, and you wouldn't have found your Lord in the way you do now. So don't mistake your trial for rejection. Sometimes Allah withholds because He wants to give you something far greater. Sometimes He delays because He wants to protect you. And sometimes He tests you not to show how weak you are, but to show you how strong you can be with Him by your side. Remember, the storm you're facing is not here to drown you. It's here to cleanse you. Keep walking through it, even when it hurts, because the sun always shines brightest after the darkest rain. And when you finally rise from your struggle, you'll understand that the pain was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to prepare you. Because in every hardship lies a hidden mercy, and in every tear lies a doorway back to Allah. Failure is not the end. It's part of the journey. Every time you fall, it doesn't mean you've lost. It means Allah is teaching you something that success never could. We live in a world where people fear failure so much that they stop trying. But the truth is, every successful person, every believer with strong faith, every person who ever achieved greatness went through moments of failure, doubt, and disappointment. The difference between those who gave up and those who succeeded is not luck, it's persistence. They refused to give up. They understood that every setback was simply a setup for a greater comeback. Sometimes Allah allows us to fail, not to break our spirit, but to reshape it. When you fail, you learn humility. You realize that strength doesn't come from you, it comes from Allah. You learn to rely less on your own power and more on His guidance. You start to understand that every door that closes is not rejection, it's redirection. Maybe Allah didn't let something happen because He's protecting you from what you can't see. Maybe the failure you're crying over today is the very thing that will save you tomorrow. Look at the prophets. Every one of them faced what the world would call failure. Prophet Naini, he preached for 950 years and only a few followed him. Prophet Musa, he faced rejection from his own people. Even the Prophet Muhammad was mocked, opposed, and driven out of his city. But none of them gave up. Why? Because they didn't measure success by worldly results. They measured it by faith and perseverance. They understood that Allah sees the effort, not just the outcome. When you fail, it hurts. It can make you question your worth, your abilities, even your purpose. But that pain you feel is not a punishment. It's a reminder that you're still alive, still learning, still capable of becoming better. Failure refines you. It humbles you. It strips away pride, ego, and illusion, leaving behind sincerity and strength. Without failure, you would never truly know yourself. And more importantly, you would never truly know Allah's mercy. Because it's often in your lowest moments that you feel His closeness the most. Sometimes we pray for success, but what we really need first is failure to shape our hearts, to make us ready for what's coming. Because success without struggle makes the heart arrogant. But success that comes after pain, effort, and faith builds gratitude. Allah knows what He's doing when He allows you to stumble. He knows that by falling now, you learn to walk stronger later. So the next time you fail, don't say, I'm done. Say, this is not the end. This is just the beginning of something new. Remember, Allah never wastes your efforts. Even when it feels like nothing is working, He is working behind the scenes, aligning your path, preparing your blessings, and shaping your destiny. Failure is only final when you stop trying. As long as you keep moving, even if it's slow, even if it's painful, you are still winning in Allah's eyes. So don't give up when things fall apart. Don't quit when you stumble. Rise again, even if it's with trembling hands and a heavy heart, because every failure you endure with patience is building you into someone unshakable. One day, you'll look back and realize that your failures were not the end of your story. They were the pages that made it worth reading. True strength doesn't come from your body, your status, or your possessions. It comes from your faith. The strongest person is not the one who never falls, but the one who keeps standing back up because their heart believes that Allah is with them. Faith gives you the kind of power that no wealth or worldly success ever could. It gives you the courage to move forward when everything around you tells you to stop. It gives you calm when the world is in chaos. It gives you light when your life feels dark. When you truly have faith, you don't rely on yourself. You rely on Allah. You understand that your effort matters, but the result is always in His hands. And that realization is freeing. Because once you put your trust in Allah, fear loses its power over you. You no longer panic over what people say or what may go wrong. You simply keep walking, knowing that as long as you are doing what is right, Allah will carry you through. Sometimes life pushes you to the edge, not to make you fall, but to teach you how to fly. With faith as your wings, when your heart is connected to Allah, even in your lowest moments, you find a strange kind of peace. That peace doesn't come from having an easy life. It comes from knowing you have a mighty Lord. The Prophet Muhammad, went through immense challenges, loss, rejection, and pain, but his heart remained unshaken because it was anchored in faith. He knew that Allah was always near, that no hardship was without purpose, and that no struggle was wasted. Faith doesn't remove your problems, but it changes how you face them. It teaches you to say, I may not know how, but I know who. When you're tired, when you're lost, when you've done all you can and nothing seems to work, faith whispers to your heart, keep going. Allah hasn't left you. And subhanallah, it's in those exact moments when you refuse to give up that you witness Allah's help come from places you never imagined. Sometimes Allah tests your faith not to weaken it, but to prove its depth. Because only through tests does faith grow stronger. You'll never know how deep your trust is until trusting Allah is your only option. And the beautiful thing is, when you choose to hold on to Him, even when everything else slips away, He never lets you fall. He holds you in ways you can't see, protects you from things you don't understand, and guides you even when you think you're lost. So don't let the storms of life make you doubt your Lord. The same Allah who guided you through your past will guide you through your present. He hasn't brought you this far to abandon you now. Keep your heart steady. Keep your prayers sincere. Keep your faith alive. Because when your strength runs out, that's when Allah's strength begins. And the one who has Allah with them is never truly weak, never truly alone, and never truly defeated. Patience is one of the greatest forms of strength a believer can have. It's not about sitting back and doing nothing. It's about staying calm and steadfast while you continue to move forward, trusting that Allah's timing is perfect. Many people give up because they expect instant results. They pray once, they try once, and when things don't change right away, they lose hope. But that's not how life works, and that's not how Allah's plan unfolds. True patience is to keep walking even when you can't see the destination. It's to believe that every delay, every difficulty, and every disappointment is leading you towards something better. Allah tells us in the Quran, indeed, with hardship comes ease. Notice He didn't say after hardship. He said with hardship. That means your ease is already written alongside your struggle. You just have to hold on long enough to see it. But patience isn't easy because it requires you to fight against your emotions, your frustration, your fear, your doubts. It's easier to quit than to wait. It's easier to complain than to trust. But the believer who practices patience walks a path of peace because they've learned to leave the outcome in Allah's hands. Think about the moments in your life when you felt like giving up, yet somehow you found strength to keep going. That strength was patience. It's that quiet power inside you that whispers, I will not break. I will not give up. I will wait for the wisdom of Allah to unfold. Every moment you choose patience instead of panic, you are growing. You're building spiritual muscles that will carry you through future storms. Even the prophets went through long periods of waiting. Prophet Yusuf Imbiyo, Eatin Ishi, spent years in prison before his dream came true. Prophet Ayub Indisijo, he lost everything but remained patient and was rewarded beyond measure. And the Prophet Muhammad waited 13 years in Makkah, enduring rejection and mockery before victory came in Medina. All of them had one thing in common. They trusted the process even when they couldn't see the outcome. That's what true patience looks like. Trusting that Allah's plan is always better than your own timing. Sometimes we make do and expect immediate answers. But Allah delays, not to deny, but to prepare. He knows what's best for you and when it's best for you. If He gave you everything you asked for right away, you might not be ready to handle it. So He makes you wait, not as a punishment, but as preparation. Patience is not a weakness. It's a divine gift that shapes your soul, polishes your heart, and deepens your faith. So when you're tired, when you feel like nothing is changing, remind yourself, even this waiting has a purpose. Every test is temporary, but the reward for patience is eternal. Don't rush what Allah is still writing for you. Keep doing good, keep believing, and keep trusting. Because the moment you choose patience over despair, you've already won half the battle. And when your ease finally comes, because it always does, you'll look back and realize that every second of patience was worth it. Because patience doesn't just bring you what you prayed for, it brings you closer to the one you prayed to. There will be moments in life when everything feels heavy, when your plans fail, people disappoint you, and the road ahead seems endless. It's in those moments that you must remind yourself why you started, and more importantly, who you're doing it for. Because when your purpose is tied to people, failure can crush you. But when your purpose is tied to Allah, nothing can break you. You see, human motivation fades. When you rely only on willpower or emotion, the fire burns out. But when your drive comes from faith, from wanting to please Allah, that fire never dies. That's the kind of strength that keeps you standing when everyone else has sat down. We all go through times when we feel lost. Maybe your dreams didn't unfold the way you hoped. Maybe your efforts went unnoticed. But remember, Allah sees everything. Every tear, every sacrifice, every time you chose patience instead of giving up. He knows the struggles you never spoke about. And He promises that nothing you do for His sake ever goes to waste. That's why when you remind yourself, I'm doing this for Allah, it becomes easier to keep moving. You start realizing that success in His eyes doesn't always look like success in this world. Sometimes success is just the ability to keep faith alive in your heart when everything around you is falling apart. If you truly want to never give up, anchor your purpose in something eternal. People change, circumstances change, life changes. But Allah never changes. When your goal is to please Him, every hardship becomes meaningful. Every setback becomes a lesson. Even your failures bring you closer to Him if you respond with humility and trust. Because the truth is, the journey toward Allah isn't about perfection. It's about persistence. He doesn't expect you to never fall. He expects you to keep getting back up. Many people quit not because they're weak, but because they forget why they began. When you lose sight of your purpose, the struggle feels unbearable. But when you remind yourself, I'm not doing this to impress the world, I'm doing this to fulfill my duty to my Creator, your heart becomes lighter. Suddenly, the pain turns into worship, the tears become a means of purification, and your journey becomes sacred. That's the power of purpose. It transforms your suffering into strength. Even in the smallest acts, your prayers, your patience, your kindness, if you do them sincerely for Allah, they count more than you can imagine. Sometimes what feels like a failure in this world is a victory in the sight of Allah. The person who keeps striving, even when no one claps for them, is beloved to Allah. Because they're doing it quietly, purely, without seeking worldly validation. So remind yourself daily, I'm walking this path for Allah. I'm striving not because it's easy, but because it's right. Let that intention fuel you when your energy fades. Because the one who strives for Allah's pleasure never truly loses. And when you stand before Him one day and see that every effort, every struggle, every tear was recorded, you'll realize it was all worth it. That's the moment you'll finally understand why you should never give up. There will come a time in your life when you look back and realize that every moment you wanted to give up was actually shaping you. Every hardship, every delay, every rejection, it wasn't meant to destroy you, it was meant to prepare you. Allah never lets your pain be meaningless. The truth is, the moments that feel like the end are often the beginning of something greater, something that Allah has written just for you. But you can only reach it if you don't give up midway. Because Allah tests you not to break you, but to strengthen you, to prove your sincerity, your patience, and your faith. You see, the strongest people aren't the ones who never fall. They're the ones who keep getting up over and over again for the sake of Allah. They cry in sujood, they beg for strength, and they continue walking even when their hearts are heavy. That's true courage, not the absence of pain, but the determination to keep trusting Allah through the pain. Every believer who truly holds on through the storm is rewarded in ways they cannot imagine. Allah says in the Quran, indeed, with hardship comes ease. That's not just a promise, it's a guarantee. But the ease doesn't come before patience, it comes because of patience. Sometimes the reason we don't see progress is because we're too focused on what's missing rather than on how far we've come. You might be struggling now, but look back. You've survived so much already. You've overcome things you once thought would break you. And if Allah carried you through that, why would He leave you now? Every step, even the painful ones, is part of your growth. Allah doesn't waste a single tear from His servant who trusts Him. So even when you're tired, don't quit. Rest if you need to, but never give up. One of the most beautiful things about faith is that even when everything else is lost, hope in Allah remains. When the world turns its back on you, Allah's door is still open. When you feel like you've run out of strength, remember you were never relying on your own strength to begin with. It was always His. That realization alone can reignite your heart. Because when you walk with Allah, even the impossible becomes possible. The journey may be long, but the destination is worth every step. And when the world doubts you, when people mock your dreams or your faith, don't let it shake you. People only see the surface, but Allah knows what's in your heart. Keep your intentions pure. Keep your head down and keep striving. Because success isn't in how fast you reach your goals. It's in never abandoning the path Allah placed you on. So, the next time life feels unbearable, the next time your heart whispers, I can't do this anymore, remind yourself that you've come too far to give up now. You are closer to your breakthrough than you think. Allah is closer to you than your own heartbeat. Just trust His timing, hold on to His promises, and move forward with faith. Because those who never give up, for the sake of Allah, never truly lose.